let's get going. So tonight what I'm doing is some more watercolor stuff. Specifically, I'm going to start working on some new found cartoon stuff. I'll get into that in a second. Oh, I forgot to do, I need some music to listen to, which will not be going out on stream, I'm sorry. So, but it is what it is. Yeah, whatever, that's fine. Okay. Just need just a little background noise just to help me. Okay. Man, my stuff is all up in my business. It's all right. What are you gonna do? Anyway, so like I said, I'm going to work on new found cartoon stuff. I showed some of that off in my last watercolor live stream a couple weeks ago. Like I said, I'll get to that in a second. Before that, I'm gonna, pardon the glare here. So this is, excuse me. This is one of my watercolor kits. This is one of my main kits I used. Even though it says it's a Sakura Koi case, that's not what's in here. I made my own watercolor palettes here. So the way I did this was, well, I had to rip out the existing Sakura Koi thing that was in here, and then I put duct tape on the bottom of the case because the case was not flat. So I had to like kind of flatten it out, and then each of these little pans I bought like a big, sorry, just make sure it's not blowing out. It's so white. Anyway, bought these pans, put double stick tape on the bottom of them, and just stuck them all in here. And I did number them for some reason, which doesn't really matter because you can only see the ones on the edge. But whatever. These are Holbein. I never know how to say it. I always forget. Watercolors, and they came from tubes. And so the way you make your own little pans is you get the tube of watercolor, you pour it, squeeze it in the thing, kind of mix it up a bit, smooth it out, like, and then you let it dry, and then you can do it like halfway, and then when that's done, do it like fill it up if you want, and do the same thing and just let it dry, and then you have your own watercolor kit. It's very easy. Like, I made this years ago, and I am still going real strong with these. Excuse me one second. I'm going to drink of water. So yeah, so these are the Sakura Koi stuff are really good. They're great for starting out. Like, they're definitely more of a intermediate level. But the Holbeins are like, I guess, professional level, or at least fancier. They're really good. They're a favorite of Hayao Miyazaki, which was one of the reasons I started using them, and they've not let me down. They're relatively affordable. There's definitely some more expensive watercolors, like the Daniel Smiths, which actually this bottom row here are all Daniel Smith watercolors, which they're great, but they definitely cost more. But again, if you get the tubes, you get way more use out of the tubes, because I mean, this, especially if you get the big tubes, which are super expensive. But again, a big tube of either of these is going to last you a long time if you make your pans like this. So the neat thing about the Daniel Smith stuff is they have more like kind of neat textures and granulations and that sort of thing. So that's why I like those. But if you want just like basic straight up watercolor, the Holbeins are really, can't go wrong with those. They're a favorite. Okay. So this is the palette I'm working with here. You can see I've definitely used this one a lot because there's not a lot of it. This is their opera color, I believe. It's like a really intense pink. So I'm just going to start laying down some color shapes, and then we'll go from there. Maybe if enough get dry, we can maybe start doing some water or some found cartoons. I need a bigger desk. This is not, it's not working out well, but we're going to make it work. Yeah. Okay. Like the setup is fine when I'm like playing games or doing stuff on the iPad, but when I'm like having to do stuff like this, I run out of real estate real fast. So we're making do though. So I have this, this is a 5x7 mat. The reason I have this is in the past, what I would do, these are 6x9 watercolor paper sheets by B Paper. In the past, what I would do is I would cut these down to 5x7, but I really don't need to do that because, you know, I can just, you can see here, I can fit the whole thing on behind the mat. So what I do is now is I'll set it down like this and just do my shape in this area. So that way I know it's mat safe. So it saves me a step. So I don't have to, you know, chop them all down. Cause I mean, that adds up. If I do like 20 of these, that's, you know, that's not nothing. So you can see this tester's seen a lot of action. It's pretty dirty. So I need to be careful not to get residue on the actual thing here. Speaking of Miyazaki, he had like a watercolor guide thing he did years ago. You can find it online somewhere, I'm sure. Still, it's where I found it. But this is how he had his like palette kind of broken up. Black, darks, dark colors, light colors, blues, and greens. So I've tried to mimic that as best I can. You know, I don't have to stick to that, but it does, you know, kind of help. So because I'm just going to be making some big watercolor shapes. Hang on. Get my... Sorry, just trying to manage my real estate here. Because I'm making big watercolor shapes, I'm going to use this big brush here so I can just easily make like big shapes. I do have these smaller brushes, which I may or may not use. It depends on what I'm going for. Oops, stop it. This is also a what they call a dagger brush. Get some fun kind of angular things out of it. I will probably use that. So I have 2 things of water here. Is what I always try to use. Yeah, I'm gonna lower my tilt my camera down just a little bit so I got some better. Anywho, so I use 2 things of water when I'm doing watercolor. One is my rinse cup and one is my clean water cup. I mean, obviously with watercolor, they're gonna both kind of get dirty at some point. So, but it's at least helps to have one that, like, this is the one I'll rinse everything off in. This is the one I'll put the brush in to get clean water on it for when I'm, you know, actually painting. Usually, let's see. I don't know if I have this on me. I would have a little spray bottle to just kind of spray on my pans here because they're dry, but it's fine. They'll be all right. So let's just make sure I'm lined up here. Okay, we're good. I want this thing right on. I don't want my palette right under the light because it reflects it like crazy. So maybe I won't worry about that. I guess that's not as important. Guess we'll do some greens first here. My original vision when I started live streaming was to do like this kind of stuff at my studio, but I quickly realized my studio's not great for live streaming because we don't have Wi-Fi, so it had to be used mobile only, and it's a shared building with other artists, so I don't have control over like noise levels and stuff, and it's fine. This worked out. So what I do is I'll just make a quick shape, try to think about it, and then that's it. So sometimes I'll look at something around me, sometimes I'll just close my eyes. I'll close my eyes. Let's see what we got here. There. I mean, I closed for the initial thing, and then sometimes I'll, come on, you know, embellish it a bit after the fact. So here's where I'll use one of the small ones, kind of get some blue here, just to add a little bit of extra stuff to it. So there we go. And that's it. And then I'll just let this dry. And so how I do these is I do these in batches and I'll let them all dry. And then once they're all dry, I just kind of put them in the stack. I'll kind of shuffle it like a deck of cards. And I pull that one out, and then that's the one I start cartooning on. I need a place to put these, which I probably should have figured out ahead of time. Oops. And then that's it. So as I said before, these are B paper watercolor sheets. I like them. I've used them for years. They're affordable. They're not the cheapest, but they're not the most expensive. Like, you know, they're like in between, which is good. I mean, you can get some super high quality watercolor paper like your Arches and whatnot, and those are good. They're great, but they are they are expensive. But there's a reason they're expensive, because they're super high quality. So I'm not saying they're not worth it. They're definitely worth it, but sometimes you gotta make some compromises where you can. I've definitely bought their sheets before, but the other reason I like getting these ones is they're already in a usable size for me, whereas the Arches ones, I got to cut them down more, and that takes more time. And if I'm doing 4x6s, I can actually get 2 4x6s out of this instead of just one. Sorry, I can get 2 4x6s or 1 5x7 if I cut them down. So, but obviously for the 5x7s, I'm not worrying about cutting down anymore. Do a few more these kind of green blue things. Realize though too, I need to have alternate drying spots because I can't stack these on top of each other because they're all gonna get ruined if I do that. So we'll figure this out as we go. Okay, I'll maybe do a couple more greens and I'll switch to a different color. I think these are 100% cotton. I can't remember. Let me check. Since I'm talking about them so much. Yeah, they're 140 pound. Yep, 100% cotton, cold pressed. That's what you want. If you're looking for watercolor paper, you want 100% cotton. That's higher quality stuff. Like your more lower priced watercolor, sketchbooks and stuff may not really be 100% cotton or even that much cotton, but yeah, so these are good, especially if you need a bunch of sheets. I used to do back in the day, would get those blocks of paper and you would tear off the sheets, but the problem I had with that is more often than not they would be super curled when I would do that, and sometimes it was a pain to get them off the block, and so yeah, I like these a lot. All right. Okay. So part of the reason I'm making some new found cartoons is I've applied to a couple of art festivals. I don't know if I'm in yet, but I applied to the East Lansing Art Festival, which I've been appearing at for years, and it's like always my best show. And I applied for the first time to a show in Midland, which is also in May. Shake things up. We'll go the other direction here. I've not done that one before in Midland, but Steph did it last year, and she did really well. She did way better than she thought she would for being there for the first time, and it had a good vibe and all that. I'm not certain what the festival season is going to be like this year, so I'm hesitant to like commit to a lot of shows, but I figured too is good. Speaking of shows, in April, I did get accepted to the Lansing Independent Comic and Zine Fest, Licks, here in Lansing. That's on April 18th or something like that. I'll post about it. It's a ways off. Like, so that I got into. I will have a table there. It's a 1-day event. I'll bring some mini comics and stuff and try to make some new stuff. We'll probably bring like a selection of some original art and prints too. But yeah, so let's see. What should I do next? We did a green. I did go through a couple of years ago or last season, I can't remember, but I did go through and kind of break down the analytics of what colors I sold the most of, and I think it was like green was way up there and blues were, I think. I should dig up that info. I have it somewhere. I mean, it was tedious, but I looked through all because whenever someone buys one at a show, I take a picture of it, and I just went through all the pictures and just quickly kind of tally marked, like here's a red one, here's a green one, here's a blue one, and just looked at the totals and also noted what the subject was, like was it a bird, was it a cat, was it a dinosaur, that kind of stuff. And I have all that info somewhere, and I need to look that up. Anywho, speaking of blues, just trying to think if I want to add another color to it. Maybe add a little red. See if we get make it a little purple. There you go. Maybe I'll dial down that brightness a bit. There we go. That's probably better. You can see a little more of see the paint a little better. It's not getting blown out by the camera light. Oops. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Do a couple more blues and we'll switch to a different color here. So when I sell these at shows, they'll be in this kind of mat, the 8x10. The whole mat's 8x10, and then the opening is 5x7. So, because here's a tip: if you ever want to sell like matted originals at shows, 8x10 frames are like some of the most common frames you can get. Like, stay away from like weird sizes. Like, it's definitely helped, like when I started just doing stuff that was standard sizes for mats, like it definitely made a difference. Because as I tell people, you can get an 8x10 frame anywhere. Like, you could literally buy them at like, a gas station if they sold them or something, or like a drugstore or whatever. Like, they're super common. So I didn't need to do that. Whatever. So I'm just adding some little bit of red to this blue. Just kind of letting it do its own thing here while it's wet. That's what the process is called, wet on wet. So what I could do too is wait for that to dry and then put the wet paint on, and that's wet on dry. Big mystery there. Which I have done that sometimes, where I'll do the shape, and then once they're dry, I'll go back and add like another color on top of it or something. So the good thing about I mean, the upside of not cutting this paper down to 5x7, is it gives me a little wiggle room when you can't see me moving around the paper because there's nothing on it, but like when I'm actually matting it, it gives me a little extra, safety as far as how I actually attach it to the mat, to make sure nothing's cut off, or if I want to, change things a little differently or whatever, it gives me a little extra room. Okay, we'll do one more blue one. The trick here too is, because I'm going to be going over this with black ink, I don't want the paint to be too dark. Because then the ink won't stand out. So I kind of have to find that balance there. Run out of space here. I have to take a break from painting and actually draw on some of these. Okay, we're gonna go crazy here. We're gonna use the tape my palette around here. Get some paper towel to clean off my palette. Whoops. Go. Artists, you can never have too many ramekins laying around. As you can see, this one's well loved. This I actually use when I'm refilling my fountain pens. I'll put the ink bottle in here. Or if I'm using the ink bottle to like dip a brush into it, I put it in here so I don't knock it over. Because you do not want that. Okay. So I'm going to use this intense pink here. I'm getting water all over myself. And tomorrow, Monday, I actually have a bonus stream at 3 p.m. because of the holiday. I'm going to be playing some Magic the Gathering Arena at 3 p.m. here on Twitch and YouTube. So swing by. I do a couple more of those, and then I think maybe the green ones will be dry, and I could start drawing on top of those. Okay. If I wanted to, add a little bit of blue to this just to jazz it up a bit. Okay. Besides when I do this at the studios, I have a whole other table behind me, that 6-foot table that I can fill up with these while they're drying. But it's all right. We'll make do. Okay. We'll do that. Okay. Okay. We'll add some blue to that one. Why not? And also, if I was at the studio, I would have my hair dryer so I could hair dry the paint a little bit so that would get it to dry a little faster. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, it looks plenty dry. If you're not sure if it's dry, if you like tilt it in the light and it's wet looking or shiny looking, that means it's still wet. But this looks pretty dry. It should be. It's the first one we did a little bit ago. So, all right. Let me grab my pens. Okay, so what I do is I'll take this and kind of turn it this way and that and figure out what I can turn it into. This is also where the tester mat comes in handy because it helps me kind of visualize the space I want to use. Okay, yeah. Actually, do this. All right, I gotta make some room here. The paint's out of the way. I don't need them at the moment. I'm using kind of a thick brush here, or pen rather. I do like the grip on the, and the fact that they're, you know, little meatier than these other ones. These are zebra pens. I've used them for years. They're great. These are I can't remember. Are these Kuritakis? I can't remember. I did a review on them. I have a video about them on YouTube. But like I got a full set. There's like a whole bunch of different types, and I tend to like pens like this with sort of a brush tip, because you can get that line variation in it. Unlike and this isn't anything against them, but unlike your micron pens, which are like a fixed line, which is fine. Those are great. I use those too. I use those for like smaller details and stuff, or writing or whatever. But for like, body shapes and stuff, I tend to like something with a brush tip, just to get that line variation in there. I feel it. It adds a little more to the drawing. Like I said, nothing against microns. I've used them for years. They're great, especially if you have to do text, where you're like adding really small details. Case in point. Let's see, where are my... Man, I hope I am not getting sick, because I started not feeling 100% once I started. It might just be I didn't drink enough water today and I'm talking a lot, so I'm hoping that's all it is. So case in point, here's a micron, and I'm just going to do some fun little details there, because why not? And then the always important signature. Okay. That's how I do found cartoons. And the next step for this will be I'll put it in a real mat, tape it on the back, and then write the name. I come up with it on the mat, and also on the back of the mat, and my info on the back of the mat, and then slap it in a bag, and it's good to go. Also, the one thing I didn't do this time was I've been having like a mug of hot tea while I'm talking and doing this, and I didn't this tonight, and that might be why I'm having issues. So my throat coat tea, I did not have some tonight, and I'm regretting it. I should have grabbed some, but I'll have some afterwards. We'll just kind of, I'll power through for a bit longer. Let's see So here's the next green one. So I just, like I said, I just kind of rotate around, figure out what I can turn the shape into. Try not to overthink it. I have a couple ideas here. Hmm. So I have these two separate things I'm going to draw on each of them. So I'll do this one first and then this one. So, because if I did this one and I worked on this one, I'd be like, getting my hand all over the one that's wet with ink. So work left to right in this scenario, actually. I just need to do a quick. Little swatch here to, because I don't remember what how some of these act. Oh yeah, that's a big old brush. LB, large brush. So what I did when I got these was I went through and, because I don't read Japanese, so just went through and figured out what each of them were and labeled them. There we go. Yep, there we go. And this one's not labeled. This might have been from a different kit that I got that I didn't label stuff. They're the same type, but it's a different kit. And I got the medium brush. Yeah, I might use this one for what I want to do. Yeah, this might be fun for what I want to do here. Okay, we'll just leave my little cheat sheet over there. The one thing you do have to be careful of when you're using like these really like legit like bigger brush tip pens is you got to make sure you give them time to dry before you, because they're putting a lot of ink on the page. And the more ink you have, the longer it's going to take to dry. It's just how it is. Same thing with watercolor paint, or I mean, any paint. The more paint you put on the page, the longer it's going to take to dry. And again, this is another situation where I would just probably quickly hit it with my hair dryer for like a few seconds just to like dry it out real quick. This might be a micron situation. See, I gotta be careful now because well, I could do this too. Now that I know where my boundaries are and stuff. Also, speaking of events, this coming Saturday, the 21st. I should know this. Yeah, this coming Saturday, the 21st. Oh, Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. All right. Anyway, this coming Saturday, Steph and I, my wife Steph and I, have a open studio event at our studio at Cedar Street Art Collective. We'll be celebrating our 5th year in the studio, having some deals on stuff. I'll post about it. Which reminds me to send out a newsletter about that. My cat Nigel's in a little cat bed next to me here, and he just got up and he's spinning around, and now he's gonna go back to laying down. Was it time to rotate, buddy? Yeah. He's just over here curled up, purring up a storm. We reached a compromise because he would camp outside my office door while I was streaming and just scream the whole time. And but when I let him in, he would want to get on my lap, which wouldn't work. And then so we brought the little cat bed on a pedestal in here, and it's like right by my desk, and it's high enough when he's in it I can pet him, and so he's content. It's our old man. He's like 16 or something. We adopted him when he was 3, so which they think he was 3. So he's our old man. We definitely kind of spoil him at this point. Let's see, do I want to give this cacti faces? Probably should. Oops. Tape's coming off of my pen here, so I put the date and the year when I get new pens, so I know when I got them, and if it's like, oh, it might be time to replace them, or just to kind of gauge how long they last. These ones are doing okay though; they're not that used up. Although I did not put dates on these ones. Now I think about it, but I have a video when I got them, so I can just kind of refer back to that. Of course, now I remember that cacti have like lines on them. Oh well. Okay, so this is a situation where I go back to the mat here so I don't see. I was using a 5 on that. So what I'll do here is I'll use an even finer tip one, and we'll do some stuff in the background. Yeah. The problem with these super fine point like microns on like watercolor paper, cold press watercolor paper, is sometimes it does not play nice with the texture on the watercolor paper. Like these were not really designed for that, which is fine, but this is something to keep in mind. And this might be a situation where once I get it in the final matte, I might go in and add some other stuff on the edges just so it works out. To remind myself, it's 2026. Okay, I think I'll grab one of the blue ones because they should be dry now too. Yeah, just to shake things up here. Put it back in the mat here. Mm. So this will be one of my, what I call my like negative space landscape things here. Dang it. It's all right. Well, I don't need this. I'll do one more. Yeah, at least one more here. This. So I'm not super chatty tonight, but promise it will be tomorrow when I'm doing my magic stream, unless I like take a major like get sick turn for the worst out of random and am not able to do it, which I hope does not happen because I'm very much looking forward to it. Because I don't really get to ever stream in the middle of the afternoon during the week because I'm at work. So the holiday presents an opportunity for me to try doing it during the day to see how that goes. And really don't want to get sick, but been pretty good so far the last few months. But unfortunately, I know I've been around people recently who were or currently who were sick or had been sick, I guess I should say. So hopefully I'm not catching anything. But I might call it good after this one, just to, even if I'm not getting sick, just to kind of make sure I save myself for tomorrow's stream, which I would like to do for a while. Let's do this. There we go. I like that better. Don't want to forget to do this and run out of space, so. Yeah, so I guess let's at least, we'll go back here and go over the ones I did. There you are. Didn't know where it went. So yeah, so these all start just as just watercolor shapes I make. If I was on canvas, they would be acrylic paint. But so, and I just figure out what I can make it into. Is I made these two and just a couple little fish hanging out. Here's one of my kind of weird landscape things, which I do enjoy doing. A couple of cacti just hanging out. And just a bird. People like the birds when I make them. Definitely, if I had to guess, the most I've sold found cartoon wise of anything, it would probably be birds, which is fine. I enjoy making them. They're fun to do. And, you know, if making a bunch of extra birds means I can also make a few random weird ones that I just want to try something weird with, that's fine. It's a good trade-off. But yeah, my throat's feeling a little worn out at the moment, so I'm gonna call it good for tonight. Apologize for ending a little sooner than I wanted to, but I am planning to do another stream tomorrow in the afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, of playing Magic, and I want to be in good shape for that. So I am going to, let's cut my background music here so I can pay attention. Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm going to call it good for tonight. Thank you for watching. Come back tomorrow, February 16th at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'll be playing Magic the Gathering Arena for a bit, hopefully. I'm hoping that I just need to drink some more water and stuff and drink some of my tea and I'll be fine. And just get a good night's sleep and I'll be all right. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, please give me a follow if you could. That helps a bunch. It helps everywhere. And you could also share my channels with people you think might enjoy them. That also helps a bunch. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. So thanks for watching. And come back tomorrow. I'll be playing some Magic. And then on Wednesday, I'll be playing Stardew Valley. Per usual. Looking forward to that. I thought about doing that tomorrow, but I decided do something different. Because why not? So, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, take care.